Welcome, fellow incarnate beings, in this beautiful world of ours. I am very happy that you made your way here. My name is BeerSpiracy Dave, coming to you from Sunny Valley, Sweden. Don't you know it? We always aim at having a good laugh and talking about interesting stuff on this podcast, and I think that we do most of the time. And something else that we love to do is mock the devil. So what does that mean, to mock the devil? It means, well, you know what it means. You're not a silly boy, are you? You're not a silly girl or a boy, are you? You know what it means. It means seeing the corruption and you know, horrible things that goes on in this world, pointing it out and saying, look at you, you silly twat, and laughing at it, and at the same time pointing it out and, you know, making it known. So that's why we at the BeerSpiracy podcast Let's go. I've got something I want to share with you guys, and it's just, I want to get your reaction to it and just like tell me what you think when you hear it. And it's signs of low IQ, low intelligence. 10 points. So I'll just go through them like 1 through 10, and you could just tell me what comes to your mind. So the first one is lack of curiosity. Second, closed-mindedness. Third, intolerance. 4, lack of critical thinking. 5, lack of empathy. 6, poor decision-making. 7, lack of self-control. 8, poor interpersonal skills. 9, poor active listening. And 10, laxity towards learning. So what does that make you think of?
Everybody. Everybody I don't like.
Exactly.
Is that really the is that what really comes up, or is that someone sort of like put that together, or is that really what comes up as a, like, say, low mental?
Well, it's not like an official source, but I've taken it from.
Right.
It's
you just
taken from someone who's
described every retard who just won't have sense at all. Yeah.
Just put together different signs of low intelligence.
Can you go through them again? What was the first one?
The first one is lack of curiosity. Then
That's definitely so. Yeah, so lack of curiosity is just someone that just blindly accepts everything day to day, watches the news, doesn't question anything, has no desire to think for themselves. That kind of explains a lot of people I know. What is the second one?
Closed-mindedness.
Closed-mindedness, yeah, people that are just, it's like what's it? People that just won't accept anything new. But it's, what's the word? It's cognitive dissonance, isn't it? It's like people that just can't accept anything new that will contradict what they've been taught. It's like a narrow-mindedness. Yeah. No, plenty of them. What's the next one?
Intolerance.
Yeah. Okay. So I've tried to talk to many people where they just do not tolerate anything that you try to say that goes against the narrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
angry.
the next one? Yeah, they do. I don't get that, Joe. It's like they just they get angry that you're trying to say that there could be something different about what they might believe.
Yeah.
And I've seen like real anger. It's crazy.
Next point.
What?
Lack of critical thinking.
Yeah.
Goes back to the not thinking at all, though, doesn't it? I think they just they just take everything as the truth, and it's like they just do not allow it to go into their brains.
Well, critical thinking. Sorry, yeah, critical thinking is where you actually have to think for yourself, not just regurgitate what you remember being told. So if you're discussing something with somebody and they're trying to remember the answer, that's not critical thinking. They're just trying to remember the answer. They're not trying to think for themselves.
Yeah.
So that
it's more like they're thinking, what did they tell me was the way to think about this subject. It's not them thinking for themselves, going, I believe that this is this and that is that, because it's more, they told me that this is what good people think, so I'm going to think it too.
Yeah.
And that's not thinking, that's just being a silly
it's remembering the answer.
Yeah.
What was the next one?
Lack of empathy. We've seen that a lot during these 2.5 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
5, 6, bad decision making. I've made some bad decisions.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe they've got
involving
something
that you might inject into yourself. Lack of self-control.
Yeah.
Poor interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
Or hygiene's on there, is it?
Should be. I'm sure it's a valid point as well.
Number 11,
and not so good at active listening. And laxity towards learning. All of these points are really connected, I think.
Yeah,
they are, but at the same time, like going back on the lack of empathy, I feel some empathy for these people because they're kind of just still brainwashed, in my opinion. I was there years ago, and it's a learning curve and it's a slow progression to get out of that way of thinking. So I actually have empathy for those people.
But they don't know. That's what I mean. With them, they don't have empathy for us, and they hate us. And they hate anyone. Yeah, anyone that goes against the grain. Like we were saying last week about like people, like they're all queuing up and things like that. And the one person who shouts out something truthful, everyone's on them. That's lack of empathy in a big scale.
Oh, big time. Absolutely, mate. I agree with you, but that's because they're so sort of, I'd say, disconnected from the truth, and still they just regurgitate what they've been taught from school. Like if you ask them a question, they don't critically think about it themselves to answer themselves. Like one of the points they were saying, they just try to think of what the answer is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a complete disconnect from people that think critically.
Yeah.
They're just completely different. So, but mate, I was there once. If I was, I would say if I was 16 or 17 years old when this pandemic happened, I would have probably fucking bought it. I'd have believed into it. But when I was around 18, 19 was when I saw a TV show. It was actually on TV and it was called Conspiracy Theory, and it was about the moon landing. And it brought up very interesting points about the fucking moon landing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, it really made me think about it. And it actually made me believe that the moon landing wasn't real and that they really tried to cover it up. And from then on, I was like, fucking hell, if they've convinced the world about that and it's not true, what else is there? And then, so I possibly, if I'd have never have seen that show about the moon or never delved into the 9/11 or everything else, I could have been I could have been like that, you know? So I have empathy for those people, even though they think we're fucking lunatics, which is quite uncanny, you know? Like it's, they're the ones calling you fucking names and you just want, you know, trying to explain to them, you know?
Yeah. I just thought it was very interesting because we do talk about the other people who have gone along with everything that the state tells them to do, and then I come across this signs of low intelligence, and it basically describes these people
to a T.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, and I just wanted to bring up to you guys and see if you also would, and I obviously thought that you would make that connection.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's like Dunning-Kruger, like the dumbest person in the room thinks they're the smartest person.
Yeah.
And I've been in many virtual rooms, let's say, like chatting to people online on various groups where they think that you are just an absolute idiot for questioning science, or, you know, their fucking god, science. You're that person to them. So everything you've just read out, they actually would say, yep, I know that person. He doesn't think
they say the same thing we are.
Or exactly. They would, without a doubt. And
yeah, I don't think that they would see that in themselves. I wanted to get to another point as well related to this, where, and I want to know if you guys have noticed this as well, when talking to people and you get into something that might be seen as kind of taboo, or like a subject that is a bit controversial, and you see them just like almost back away because it's not part of normal discourse between people. And I was recently in a church, and I was talking to these people who have studied religion for some time, and I just noticed these depictions of fish on their robes and on things around in the church. And I was just curious about it, and I asked them, and they gave me an answer which may be plausible, which was that Jesus could feed the people with fish, and his the disciples were fishermen, according to some sources. So that was like the reason they gave me. I think that's a bit too simplistic. I think it's more related to like the older Babylonian origin, because they had, and even the Greeks, they had it. It's called the ictus, and there's also a theory that it was for when Christians were. It wasn't like okay to be openly Christian in the Roman Empire, so they had the fish as the sign, like between Christians, to say this is like if you put a fish on a home, then that was their church, and like to say I'm a Christian and you're a Christian, so they could say that they were.
Was there anything to do with the someone would draw a fish and then someone put the eye in? I remember hearing something like that. Would they be draw in the sand the shape of the fish, and then someone would, to see if that was part of the Christian faith or something, and someone would fill in the eye. I don't know if that's anything, but it's just like, something I remember from school. Funny enough, I don't remember a lot from school, but yeah, there was something to that.
The ictus, it's like the Greek letters, and then them letters were in the fish, and then okay. But I think it goes back further. But my point was that it was like they were. If you want to ask questions about stuff, it kind of gets a bit like they get a bit awkward. And then she started telling me about another guy who came to the church and was asking questions like about the Jesuits and stuff, and she called him a fanatical person for coming and asking them questions, and I just thought like, but how is he fanatical for just being curious about the history of Christianity?
And I bet he was very polite. Why is he fanatical?
Yeah, and why would that be like something that would put up red flags for this person? If she is Christian, why isn't she interested in the history of Christianity? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is related to normal conversation with people as well. When you get into controversial subjects, you can see them like just like mentally back away. Like, I don't touch them subjects because it's too dangerous.
It's a defense mechanism. I think it's like they know what they've been taught, and if you have any questions that they're not familiar with, they see that as either you're being like, I don't know, not attacking them, but they see it as something they don't know the answer to, so they just go defense mode. I think where people are genuinely being curious and asking something about what they might believe, but if it, like you say, if it's like taboo and it goes against what they're familiar with, I think it's just a defense mechanism.
It's a bit like the what I said. I joined a few years ago, and when I actually asked any questions, they shut me down straight away and like say got really defensive and just said, "You're not here to ask questions. Just get your head down, shut up." And then I'm like, "So what were you here for then? Like, what was the point?" I thought we was all here to, like, you sort of like whenever you join anything like that, some sort of religious sect or anything else, surely it's about learning and finding yourself and stuff, you know. And but when they shut you down and say don't ask questions, so right, I pretty quickly got a message that it was all bullshit.
I would like to relate this as well to normal discourse between people generally, because it's like we can't talk about stuff like, you know, what's been going on the last 2.5, 3 years in an honest fashion, which is very destructive, because we can't look at facts and present them to each other and say, does this make sense? Do you believe this? Can we look at this politician and analyze what he or she says and talk about it like grown-ups?
Yeah.
Can we do that? No, we can't.
Because you can't.
You know, and that's extremely destructive. And why, how did we end up there, and why are these people not able to have a discussion?
I don't know, and I don't think. I don't think it'll ever. I don't think things will ever change. There must have been people that have grown up like, you know, past generations and things like that thought the same as we have. You know, wanted to ask questions, but probably felt they couldn't ask them. And then they all fall back into the same cycle again, don't we? And we all make the same. Well, we don't. You know, the people and the governments make the same mistake again because no one ever learns from it, because no one ever talks about it.
Mm.
I see a great thing earlier. Not a great thing. There's a certain war criminal, one of Prime Minister's right-hand man who actually signed a death warrant of most of the Middle East, and he's on the TV again. You know, he's been on Top Gear. He's done this, that, and the other. And it sort of still fascinates me to this day that a war criminal can go on all the TV programs, and all the people that, you know, that were witness to all of this, what had happened throughout history, you know, within the last 10 to 20 years or whatever, and you go to yourself and you accept him on TV.
Mm.
A war criminal. He's a war criminal. Any other aspect of life, the man's a war criminal. But because he's on the right side, he gets away with it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know? And if anyone actually turned around and said, "Oh, he's a war criminal," they'd all jump me, in the studio and get me out of there. You know what I mean?
And that's like even to people talking, like if one of us would go out and talk to a normal person about that, and they was like, "Oh, this guy was on TV and he was really nice," and we would go, "Yeah, but he's a war criminal. Do you know what he's done? He's one of the worst people to walk the earth." And
and they go, "Oh, he's lovely. He's lovely on that TV program."
Yeah, and instead of listening to that and being like, "Oh, maybe I should reconsider what I believe about this person," instead they would be like, "No, you're the problem. You're a bad person."
Yeah. Instead of a quick search on the internet, right? Type in the man's name and the Iraq War, and just have a little look for yourself, like, you know, and you'll soon see what's what and who's who. It's pretty, and they don't even hide it on Google and things like that. It's on Google. They might not call him a war criminal, but they will tell you the role he played in that war and the beginning, and, you know, and the illegal war that they proceeded to go into. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing again. It's just the dumbness, and I told you before, it's a friend of mine actually sent me, knowing the way I am, and he sent me a video. No, sent me a message saying he went and see the guy in a talk. It was amazing, and I'm like, that's like red rag to a bull.
Yeah.
You know? So, and it's just that's the sort of, he's the sort of person, you know, like that would actually believe that them sort of people were good people and things like that. And I'm done with people again. I think I'm going down that road.
Yeah, it comes back to people just giving away their authority to someone else, and then just because it's easier, and then just going along with it, just bombing along through life because it's easier, instead of like waking up and seeing stuff for what it really is.
Yeah, and it's a short memory. Thing is, of all that kind of stuff it's a short memory lapse of people. Like I said to you before, like something that happened literally 2 or 3 years ago, say 5 to 10 years ago, and they will resurface these people, right? And they'll be on the TV or whatever. And I go, "Don't you remember when he done that though?" And they go, "No, when did he do that?" And I go, "No, he never done that." And I could just have a little show them something. And they go, "There you go, look." And they go, "Oh my God, I never knew that." So just like, I don't know why.
Yeah, but they and then they say, "Oh, leave him alone. That was ages ago." It's like, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter how long ago it was.
No, of course it was.
It's still a fact. Yeah, no, that was ages ago. Look at all the good stuff. I remember when all the Jimmy Savile stuff come out. Like when he fucking died and it was all coming out. And there was a bloke in the pub and he's going, leave him alone. Do you know all the stuff he did for charity?
Yeah,
like you can't believe all that stuff. He had heart of gold. And, it wasn't this guy's fault. Like he fucking pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. It wasn't until he fucking died that it all come out. This geezer got away with everything, fucking Jimmy Savile. Like
that's what
he had the key. He had the keys to Broadmoor Hospital, and he was doing all this nice charity work. But it's like what you say though, Joe. It's like someone disappears, and then they come back, and they're like, "Oh, isn't that guy lovely?" And it's like, hang on a second, don't you remember what he did? It's like people have short memories.
Very short. Unreal.
I know. I know. I know you're talking about. It's Mr. TB, isn't it? It's fucking Mr. TB. Is that who you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about his mate. I hate him also, but I'm talking about his mate AC.
Oh, okay.
He was the propagandist. He was the spin man. He was the one who got everybody to rally up and get going. You know what I mean? That was
get you.
Yeah. So, but like things like that, Russell. That's what I'm saying. As you know, you live that way and stuff, and you think it's like the man and millions of people that are dead because of him. And that's all I'm saying. It's just the sheer memory of people is just astonishing, where they just haven't got a clue. And they say to me, they go, "Oh, you're all mad." Like say, as we all get, you get it. They get said, "Oh, you're mad. You're mad." Why? Because we question. We question things, and we actually got a little bit of a bit of intellect, and we actually want to know what's going on in the world. It's just, I don't know. So,
do you remember in the film Inception?
Yeah, I remember the film.
And there was in a dream, Ellen Page and DiCaprio was in a scene together, and she was in his dream, and then it was like the NPCs in his dream started going against her because they noticed something about her. Like that's just like what I feel like when you start talking about subjects that people don't want to touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just reminded you of it, sort of.
Yeah. Now she's called Ellen Page.
And Elliot Page.
It is, but it's funnier to say Ellen Page.
Sorry, man, I didn't get it.
And she's pretending to be a geezer.
Yeah,
she looks like a little weird guy.
Weird little guy. Oh man, yeah, that's confusing, all that, isn't it?
Yeah. Just
be a gay lady. That's fine. All good.
Yeah.
Alan.
Good old Alan Page, eh?
Al, how you doing, Al?
Yeah.
What do we think about the end of the world tomorrow, then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw something about that. There was this German politician, I think it was. Was that what you saw?
Yeah, I've seen that, but where he's talking about you'll all remember where you were on the 24th.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Isn't that
really?
Special day for you tomorrow, isn't it, Joe?
Yes, mate, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
Happy birthday. 11 birthday for you, mate.
No, not birthday. Anniversary. 11 years tomorrow.
Oh, really? I was on that day?
Nice.
I see that.
Yeah,
I did see that on the message. Yeah. Oh, right. Nice.
My birthday was last week.
I know it was, mate. And I forgot to say happy birthday.
I know. I remember.
I just forgot when both of your birthdays was, and I said happy birthday.
I liked that. Yeah. That was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I liked that. But yeah, no, happy birthday for tomorrow, mate. Yeah, no, it's my wedding anniversary.
Happy birthday.
I'll remember where I am because I'm going to be getting pissed up in an Irish pub. So
nice.
whatever.
Do you know what? It's it's a, what's it called? I might pop to the pub. My sister said to me, "Do we want to get together or whatever?" But I'll be honest, I don't know if I even want to go out. If I'm honest, I think it's going to be a hoax. But I think they could. Round here, when they stopped the diesel, they stopped the petrol and everything else, and everyone rushed out. It was like a war zone because no one could get diesel. We live in the sticks, and it was still pretty mad. So I reckon if they pull any kind of silly hoax, it will create some sort of panic. And do you know what? I don't want to be sitting in a pub or restaurant. Or, do you know what I mean?
I thought that was actually the way the media portray things. It's actually quite funny because all they have to say is, "Don't panic. This is happening, but we don't want you to panic."
Yeah.
And that triggers the fucking biggest. It's like, don't panic. There could be a petrol shortage, but don't panic. And everyone fucking rushes out and buys petrol. Do you know what I mean? It's the way they do things. I don't.
It's like bog roll,
honestly,
Russell. It's the same thing. No one could get no bog roll because everyone rushed out and got it quick. Like, oh my god,
that's fucking.
They can do it so easy. I said, I've even seen like silly bollocks in like China. They're doing the zombie videos now, and they're saying that's what's cutting. Like, oh my god, okay. If I eat him with a cricket bat around the head in the garden, right? Are they zombies or not? Do you know what I mean?
I don't think anything's going to happen tomorrow. I think it's another one of them fucking end of the world. 2012.
I'm definitely leaning towards that as well.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Do you remember when the Mayan calendar ended in September 2012? The world's going to end. And then fuck all happened. But then years later, people were saying, did you feel like a shift? Like something shifted? Like it was the end of the world as we know it. That's why I named the video today. It's the end of the world as we know it. But I feel fine.
It might be.
It's an REM song as well.
Yeah, that's going to be the song I'll feel tomorrow. Yeah, great.
Could
be.
I
don't think
it's
double bluffing us because how often do they go out and say stuff like that? It's not like it was a big person. I don't even know who said it. It was some German.
But where's
guy.
it come from? It's not on mainstream because I was telling I chat to my missus about all this stuff. She thinks I'm bonkers sometimes. Some stuff she really listens to, but some stuff she's like, oh come on, fucking turn it in. And I mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned I said about the 24th, and she's like, oh, I'll have a look on the news then. I'll check Instagram and my groups. And I said, well, you won't find it. She's like, well, fucking bullshit then, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
And it's not like it's mainstream. The fucking 2012 one was mainstream because it was a Mayan calendar.
Yeah.
It was in the fucking newspapers, on the news. It was like end of the world. Fucking Nostradamus fucking predicted this as well, and it was like a big thing. And not many people have even heard about tomorrow. So
no, they haven't. And I just all I think to myself is that obviously with like the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, they can do it, and that's all I worry about. And I just worry about work and stuff, like being able to do it. I don't think they can do.
But how can they do that again when they've already come out and said that it did more harm than good? Yeah, I know China is still fucking locking down.
Yeah, I know it will all be all right. Did you not see all the other ones I sent you though? Like in Russia and was it Scotland and Northern Ireland, like the SpaceX sort of rockets and stuff. They're shooting something up, and they're going. It looks like they're hitting the firmament and then I don't know how. They're saying those last night, but they could be months old, years old. Who knows? But yeah, I keep seeing loads of them as well. But I think it's all bollocks. But I just don't trust them. I know it's going to be a hoax, but I think they could still pull it. Do you know what I mean? They might do something silly.
If we were to speculate and just like whatever theories you come up with, I thought about one earlier where it's like, with everybody who has taken the experimental gene therapy.
Yeah.
What if it was like they could just, because you've seen all the like nanotechnology stuff, theories about all that stuff. Switch something on, and then like all of the zombie films and like even CIA and I don't know if it was CIA, but America's medical institutes and stuff have got like zombie apocalypse documents. Like, just this is a crazy out there theory, obviously, and it's just funny or interesting to think about. Like, what if they could have programmed that, what they gave people, into being able to flip a switch and then they turn into zombies.
That's the screenplay, David.
Yeah.
That's a good one. How good was that? That's a good little thing, isn't it? That's a good little movie. That.
Have you seen? There's a film called Kingsman. Have you seen it? Where
the boys have seen. I
haven't seen the new one.
They do this.
Weird.
I've only seen one. I was on a plane flying back from somewhere. It was only like a 2-hour flight, and it's about an hour and a half film, and it's got who's that fucking posh English dude? I forget his name, but he's in it, and he's teaching this young kid how to be like an agent.
Ralph Fiennes.
And like the older dude, he's a fucking proper Darcy. He's a fucking like, he was in.
Oh yeah.
I don't know his name anyway.
Yeah.
He's a proper fucking like posh English actor. Anyway, in that movie, there's some kind of SIM card they've all got in their phone, and the fucking bad guy, Samuel L. Jackson, and he flips a switch, and everyone just fucking attacks each other. Anyone with this fucking and then like he has to like turn the switch off, and it's similar to what David's saying. It's like, what if instead of it being a SIM card in a mobile phone, it's a fucking injection in your fucking blood.
Yeah.
And it's got this ability. Technology. Maybe I'm not going to go to the pub, because I think me and my missus are probably like the only two adults in the whole of the fucking country we live in that ain't been jabbed, because every fucker rushed out and got it, and I was like, babe, hang on a minute, hang on.
And they do sometimes put stuff in films that are true, that they will do in the future. So
yeah,
who knows?
Like a warning, but it's like a laugh in your face kind of warning. Can't wait for that to happen in real life.
Well, if it does happen, Russ, go to the Winchester.
That's from
Just
Shaun
wait
of
for
the
it to
Dead.
blow over. It is, Shaun of the Dead. Let's just go to the Winchester and wait for it all to blow over. It's fucking brilliant, fucking excellent. I love that movie.
It is a great one, man.
Go to
my boy's still too scared to watch it, and I went, you don't know. He loves all their films. He loves Hot Fuzz. He loves like Paul and all that. And I went, why won't you watch that? And he's like, no, it's too scary. I went, it's funny. It's not even scary.
It's so fucking funny.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, they are
Genius.
two of the best people. I fucking
they
love
are.
them guys.
Together they're brilliant. But then they got split up, didn't they? Peg went off and did like the Tom Cruise movies, Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and he's good in them.
Nick Frost
movies, but they were so good together.
Yeah.
They
should do more stuff together.
Have you ever seen? Just as quick, what's it called? Have you ever seen the Nick Frost one where he wakes up in bed with a great big chunky blonde bird?
And he's sneaking.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's an advert. It's a very short advert clip. It's about drinking. He wakes up next to this horrible
and it's a dude
woman. Like, no, it's not a dude. But he looks at her and he's like, shit, I better
like
sneak
a one-night
out.
stand.
And he's creeping down the stairs, and he's grabbing his jacket and his coat, and then he looks closely and he sees a wedding picture, and it's him and the woman. And then and then there's a kid. It's like a 12-year-old boy goes,
morning, Dad, isn't it?
He goes, morning, Jesus. Dad, and he's like, oh, fucking hell.
So funny. I'll send it to you. Have you seen that, David? No?
I ain't seen
brilliant.
That.
I'll send it to you.
And he probably does the same thing every fucking night. It's just gets so like out of it. and then wakes up, and then he just remembers. Oh, that's brilliant.
But there's done a few of them. There's a few of them. There must have been some sort of it must have been some sort of sketch they was doing, because he done a few different ones.
Mm.
But I don't know what it was called. I'd love to find it again.
Did you see the movie he did? It was a true story about a wrestling family in the UK. It was directed by Stephen Merchant, and The Rock was in it as well.
Yeah, do you know what? It's one of the ones the boys have watched, and Katie, and it's really good. It's actually not a bad film. It's really good.
I liked it. I watched it. That's another one I watched on the airplane, and I said to me, we watched it together as a family, and me Mrs. and my eldest loved it. The little one was too small to understand it, but it's. I love watching true story stuff. You can't beat a fucking true story movie, can you?
Was it like a documentary?
No,
it wasn't a documentary. No, it was a proper movie, and it was. So there was a wrestling family from up north in England, and the parents' dream was for one of the kids to get into WWE, or back then it was called WWF. Yeah. And they always thought the boy would be the one because he was fucking brilliant. And all they did was wrestling. They'd go and do wrestling tournaments, like wrestling competitions. And it was all like, wrestling's just a show, isn't it? And the boy and the girl, along with loads of others, go to the O2 Arena in London for like an audition. And the only one to get picked is the sister, not the brother. And she gets to go to America and try out. It's a true story. I think the girl's name was Paige or something.
Yeah,
Paige something.
She was a big star in WWE.
Yeah. That's the thing. I've never, because I'm not into that since I was a kid. No. As soon as I fucking found out as bullshit, I was like, I can't fucking watch that now. I always used to think that was real,
Yeah, good. That's it. She's a great actress. I like her as well because she's in. Have you ever seen Midsummer?
I didn't see it. No.
It's in. Well, I think a lot of it was shot in Sweden. It's about a cult, isn't it, in Sweden?
Mm.
You've not seen that? It's all about occultism and stuff. It's one of the amazing film, to be honest.
Yeah,
she's a really pretty one in it.
I was a bit turned off by it because Midsummer is one of my favourite holidays, and I didn't want them to dirty it up for me.
No, it ain't nothing like that. No. It's just a scary film, mate. It's not like it ain't. Yeah, I wouldn't tar it with like messing your holidays up. It's just a good movie.
Yeah,
but I get it. But that's what I'm saying. There's sort of paganistic element to it, and do you know what I mean? It's amazing. That's probably my favourite genre of movies. It's like occult films.
Mm. Is it a new film?
Couple of years old. Yes, but she's the same actress, the one who played Paige. So, so she's normally got blonde hair. The girl, pretty girl.
Ellen Page.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, bit prettier than Ellen though.
Yeah, she's really handsome.
Another film note for you is, I don't know if you like these sort of films, but another great film, Hereditary.
I haven't seen that one.
There's some real amazing movie, but it's a little bit on the dark side, but amazing. Hereditary is what's her name? Muriel's Wedding actress. Anyway, can't think of it. But yeah, Hereditary is an amazing movie, and Midsummer is an amazing movie. Them weird Swedish dudes, man, they just get together in the woods and stuff and start doing bad shit.
Doesn't really sound intriguing, but I'll give it a try.
It's really good.
A weird one. I forget what it was called. It was on Netflix. Me and my missus was just going through, and it was like these four guys. I think they was like planning on going somewhere in a pub. I don't know if you've seen this. I think it's fairly new. And like two of them went into an off license, and one of them got killed in the off license by some robbers.
So I thought you were going to say World's End then, another Simon.
No, that's a good one. That's another one of theirs, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry,
but
mate.
I think they went. I think
I know what one you're talking about. That's based in Sweden as well.
Yeah. I was about to say
that's a good
Sweden,
film.
and they trek through the fucking. They want to take a shortcut through the forest because one of them bangs his leg, and then everything fucks up as soon as they go in the forest. There's some weird fucking creature.
That one is that Timothy? Is that Timothy Spall's son? The one who's actually in Shaun of the Dead. He's actually in Shaun of the Dead.
English dude.
You got red on your shirt. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got red.
It's called The Ritual. The Ritual.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it.
I think that they did a good job with that as well.
I'm a movie buff, mate. I'm in movies.
That's quality. No, me and my missus watched it. And it was nuts.
Yeah, I think they did a good job as well with capturing like the old Swedish creepiness in that film.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Do you feel that, David, where you are? Do you feel like the old sort of the pagan creepiness or anything? Do you feel it or?
Not now. I remember that from when I was a kid. There was more of that feeling just from like being in old houses and old art and stuff like that. And just old stories and stuff like that.
Did your grandparents ever tell you about any ghost stories or anything like that, or any strange goings on? Or
not really. I don't think I do think they believe in stuff that can be supernatural, but I don't think they've had any real experiences of that nature. Maybe some minor stuff, but nothing big.
But Sweden's quite a. I didn't realise, but Sweden's quite a religious sort of place. Not only like about the church and stuff. It's quite a powerful thing, even in Sweden, isn't it?
Historically, it was very powerful. They were like the main power in with the government. So it's just kind of since they followed the revolution, I think, from the Western world, where in the 60s it kind of became more secular and non-religious, and now it's very it would be hard pressed to find anybody under 50 who's a religious Christian.
But don't paganism survive there, though? Is it sort of quite not more like the sort of like Viking sort of ideology?
No, that's very rare. There are definitely certain people who go towards that and do that kind of stuff, but it's very rare. Most people are very atheistic.
Yeah, interesting. I thought that would have been quite. I would have thought that would still been quite powerful there, like the paganism and stuff. Get quite a lot of that in England, especially in the south. Sort of like that's quite a lot, sort of Devon, Cornwall, all that. That's very like that, and a lot of like witchcraft and sort of towels and that,
Cool.
So that's always a little bit.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, in Sweden, the most thing that we do is we celebrate midsummer and stuff like that.
It's a big thing for you guys, yeah. I wish it was a bit more of a big thing for us. We don't just sunny outside. No, right, that's it. Like, whereas when I see like I see like Molly's stuff, and it's a big thing, and it's a celebration like spring and summer and all that kind of stuff. And you think, how great is that? Like,
I love midsummer.
But like we just go, like I'm saying, it's a real like it's a festival, isn't it? You'll get together and eat together, and it's a big thing. But like, I don't know, we've lost that, and that's such a shame. Really, going back to like what we all talk about, like say back in the old days and stuff, like things were festivals and feasts and stuff, and where now it's just taking it all away from us. Religion, I suppose, was just taking it all away from us.
And I think commercialism as well has taken a lot of the main joy and focus from real festivals that could have been more spiritual, and they turned it into more commercialized stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of spiritual.
Like Christmas.
Yeah.
Spend your money. All the money you earn, spend it all. Try to keep up with everybody else. You know, be skinny.
That's true. But I do think that there is some magic still in Christmas as well. You know, you feel that energy from people, and it's like you get together and celebrate. And it's up to us to what we make it into. You know, we don't have to make it into something commercial and like how many presents can you buy and all that shit.
Monetize everything. Yeah, Jesus, like I say, yes.
Yeah.
But did you ever watch the tinfoil hat pod? I think it was about Christmas and how it's just completely different from what how it was.
It was a pagan. It was a pagan thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but do you know, like Christmas carols, where people just sing nicely at your door? Apparently, that was some kind of like a way of extortion. So basically, people would turn up and they'd sing until you gave them something to go away.
Yeah.
And even honestly, even there's a Christmas carol saying, "We won't leave until you give some. We won't leave until you." It's like there's apparently it was just a way of like torture. Like you turn up, you break, like you bust into someone's house and you don't stop singing until they give you something to go away. And that's how Christmas carols. Oh, I know. I don't know if it does sound nuts.
It does.
But
I thought we was going to go into the more psychedelic realms where, like the mushrooms, where it's a white and red mushroom, and that was supposed to be
no. I possibly but no. The stuff they were saying actually, it made the way they described it did make sense. It's like, you know, these people just turn up and they just sing and sing and sing until you fucking can't stand it anymore, and you give them something to go away. And that's what Christmas carols are. You knock on someone's door and you sing and they give you money and then you go away. And there's that carol, "We won't leave until you..." I forget the carol.
That's a good idea for someone.
I mean?
That's a good idea for someone to do as a YouTube thing. Like Mr. Beast would do something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was tinfoil or Joe. It might have been Joe Rogan, but I think it was tinfoil hat, and it was just like everything that we celebrate now is Christmas, and it had nothing to do with what it was back in the day.
Yeah,
at the beginning.
But it also, of course, and it also goes back to it's blacks and whites and that kind of stuff, sort of thing. They always pitch us against each other, always, and that is their main focus and goal every single time. And I've got a Jamaican, I've got a West Indian heritage, so basically, my nan and granddad were Irish, right, on both sides, apart from one nan, right. Now his mother and father were West Indian, right? So he's sort of thing so he's second generation West Indian, I'm third generation Irish or whatever. Well, my old man's actually Irish. Anyway, so we're the same sort of thingy. And I said, we used to have arguments and stuff about certain movies. And I used to go, "Oh, that was the Muslims." And he used to get the ump with me. And he used to go like why do you keep like putting it down to the Muslims, like sort of thing? Like it's the same. And I went, "Oh, sorry, man." And he went, "No, you don't understand." He went, "Oh, well, I'm not racist." And that to him, and he said, "I know you're not. You're Irish." He went on the pub door, in the 1950s, 60s, or whatever. He used to say, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. We are all the same. We're friends. And like the Irish and the Jamaicans get on famously well, sort of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? They was all in the pub together. My uncles all had, they was all mates with Jamaicans. That, you know, those all bus drivers and stuff like that. And they all got on really well. And it's the whole divide again. It's like the black people. First of all, it's like the Irish when they came over. They were the villain. Then it was the blacks. Now then it was the Muslims. Now it's fucking Corona. Now it's, you know what I mean? It's whatever they.
Now it's the Russians.
Yeah, whatever subject they choose and highlight, that will. But yeah, exactly. The Russians now. Russians are shit. Why are they shit? Jesus Christ, use your brain, you know. And that's what I think I've learned the most. Divide everything they can do. They divide us.
So when I was growing up, obviously me and you grew up, we're like fucking 8 days apart. Not even that, actually. We're like 6 days apart being born, lived in the same town. I was brought up, I never even, like, I just saw people as people. My parents never said, that's a black man, that's an Indian person. I didn't know. Be. Like, yeah, but that's how it was for me. And it was one of my friends who was trying to say, he tried to tell me, that's a black person. And I was like, I couldn't understand it. I said, but they're not black, they're brown. He said, no, they're black. And I'm like, I really couldn't get it. And he's telling me, they're Indian, they're black, that's an African, that's a different type. And I'm like, I didn't get it because I wasn't brought up that way. And it brings me to an interview with Morgan Freeman, where someone said to him, how'd you get rid of racism? And he said, stop talking about it. Just fucking don't bring it up anymore. Don't say it. And I tell you what, this brings me to another point with my eldest daughter, because I brought her up the same way I was brought up. I never told her, that's a black man, that's an Indian lady, she's a Muslim, this is this is that. We're just all people. It wasn't until we started watching a TV show, Everybody Hates Chris, by Chris Rock. And it's just, oh, I'm a black man. Oh, because I'm black. Is it because I'm black? I'm in a black neighborhood. I'm black. And it's just fucking, and I'm all of a sudden, my daughter's talking about, black kid. There's a black kid. And I'm like, no, it's a kid. It's just the kid. But it's not my daughter's fault. She's seen, and then to go back to what it's not Samuel Jackson, fucking hell, to what Morgan Freeman was saying, stop talking about it. Chris Rock's talking about it. Now my daughter's talking about it. And if he had never fucking said it in his show, is it because I'm black? Because I'm black. I'm a black man. And now my daughter's saying shit like that. See that black kid over there, Dad? And I'm like, whoa. No. That's just a kid. You're a kid. He's a kid. She's a kid. And it's
exactly the same as this transgender shit and gay people and everything else. Like, just shut the fuck up about it. But it's just what Morgan Freeman said. Stop talking about it. Shut the fuck up about it. I don't care. I don't need to know. We all just go about our business. You are what you are. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but some people need to feel entitled.
Yeah, they want that. That feeling of
they want the drama. Yeah,
victim mentality. That's what they want, because that gives them power. And these comedians who are black or Chinese or whatever, and their whole shtick is just about them talking about like race stuff, and it's very destructive.
Yeah,
and very lazy as well. Like, how many comedians have been talking about that same stuff over and over and over again? It's not funny. It's just boring and lazy and stupid.
There ain't no funny comedians anymore, though. Apart from, I know we like Theo Von and things like that, and they're great. They're funny, but like generally, like mainstream comedy
the drunk bi guy.
Hilarious. That's fucking funny, isn't it?
Fucking Bobby Lee. But
there's
another. I think there's another guy. He's an Asian comedian, and he lives in America. And he's saying about he always dresses really smart in a suit, and he's saying the American people you do things opposite. It's like Iraq, they're saying we don't have any weapons, leave us alone, and they're like, no. This country, they've got weapons of mass destruction. We've got to go in there. We've got to take over. We've got to get them out. They're telling us we don't have them, but we've got to get in there and we've got to get them. And then it's like, then you've got countries like North Korea. Not only did they admit having them, but they're pointing them at you and they're going to push the button. And Americans are like, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. It's like just the fucking, it's just like the fucking opposite. It's just, he's actually really, I can't remember his name, but he's funny. Bobby Lee, Theo Von, Mickey Flanagan's a favourite of mine. I've got to admit, he's fucking hilarious.
Do you know, the thing is with the thing is with him, he's become a little bit. Some of the things I've seen him say and things like that, and he's left his roots. He's left his roots a bit, shall I say? And
of course, he grew up on a council estate.
Fair enough.
And now he's got like £13 million in the bank.
No, but he gets a little bit like, I've just heard him say some stuff. It's probably nothing. Do you know what I mean? Same again, it's probably how people want you to be portrayed, show you how he wants to be. I don't know. He's probably he seems funny as fuck, so I don't really care. He is funny, hilarious.
Did you see Ricky Gervais' latest stand up? He talked some sense about the whole transgender movement.
I like Ricky Gervais, but he's very, I would
he gets
narrow-minded.
Yeah,
he's just if he's not told you he's an atheist,
spirituality, he's very narrow-minded.
Even in his program, Afterlife, Afterlife was brilliant, but he has to keep going on about the atheism shit all the time.
Yeah, but when it comes to
I tell you what,
pointing at people and saying like, "Look at yourself, you silly bastard." It's like he done that with the transgender community, and he done that against the Hollywood community.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
I will always respect him for that.
That monologue he did,
fantastic. Yeah,
that monologue he did was fucking genius.
Yeah,
was so clever. He called out everyone in the room. And it was just fucking brilliant to see them.
It's amazing, but like you said, Russell, it's like I love him. I think he's great, and then it just when he that's saying he just falls short for me there when he sort of just goes.
It's just, I think he has actually come around a bit.
Atheism, it's the fact of everyone else is a fucking idiot, and that drives me mad. He can believe what he wants.
I think it's funny that every character he's been, David Brent. Who was the guy who played in Extras? Anyway, the guy in Extras, Afterlife, they're all atheists. Like, he's pretty much the same character. But in Afterlife, there was a point where I think he was interviewing two girls and they both had bald heads. And one of them had cancer and the other sister, she'd shaved her head to, so her sister didn't feel bad. And when he said, "What's your name?" she said, "Lisa." And he said, it sort of like hit him. And he said, "That's my wife's name." And she said, "Where is she?" And he said, "She's making my dinner." And then the little girl said, "Do you think there's a heaven? Am I going to go to heaven?" And he said, "Yeah." That was a turn. I know that's only a fucking TV show.
I get it though.
For him to have that sort of admission, even as a character, where he's always just been, I'd like to thank God for making me an atheist. It's funny to say that because you're thanking a non-existent God, in your opinion, for making you who you are. But I don't know, sometimes he's just too unwilling to admit. Yeah, just like when he says, "Oh, I know how telephones work. If I send a text message, it goes up to a satellite and it comes back down and it gets delivered into someone's phone." It's like, well, actually, that's not how text messages work. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But in his mind,
comes back to closed-mindedness.
Exactly. There's a satellite in space. The text message leaves my phone, goes up to a satellite, and bounces back down. It's like, well, actually, no. And it's how some people think that the internet works. That if, like, I think I've discussed this on previous pods, like me being in IT, I know very fucking well how the internet works. And there are cables laying on the bottom of the fucking ocean that crossing every fucking ocean. You know, it's like from here to America.
The merchant navy have laid most of them throughout. Like, and that's their job. And people think, like, what have you been doing all them years? And they're all highly paid. And people go, oh, is that what they do? Yeah, that's what they do.
But sometimes when there's, like, say, like, I've had it before where I live, internet's gone down, and you phone your provider, and you're like, we've got no fucking internet. And they say there's been a like cable damage under the sea, like they're fixing. They literally have to fucking hook up. And I'm not talking about a flimsy fucking fiber cable that's like a millimeter thick. These things are encased in fucking like 8-inch tubes, even bigger than that. And it's fiber cables running across the fucking sea. There's no fucking, okay, there are some satellite connections, but they're not orbital fucking satellites. Like, you can have a satellite on the top of a building that points to another satellite on top of another building. Like, how many satellites do you see that pointing directly up? I'll tell you what, saying that, there's actually a lot of these devices. They're called lighter than air devices, or lighter than air vehicles. If you look that up in Google, they're actually on like these helium balloons, and they send them up, and they go into almost the stratosphere where there's almost zero wind resistance. And that's how they're able to position satellite connections, because they're so high up that they don't actually move.
They just go up against the dome, and then they just, like, if you had a helium balloon and then let it go in your house, and then it just stays there and it just bobs around on the dome.
Exactly. Yeah. They're so high up.
That sounds like a joke, but that might actually be true.
True, man.
No, mate, I'm not saying they're banging on top of glass, but they're so high up into the stratosphere that they're certainly not orbiting around the fucking ball. If there were satellites, tell me this, right? If I'm on an aeroplane on the fucking ground before takeoff, I've got data, full signal, okay? My plane takes off, I've still got data, I've still got signal, and then all of a sudden I get to a certain height and my phone cuts out.
It's the same if you go too far into like a forest or something.
Yeah, so that to me says, if it's
in space, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
If it's in space, and then I've had one person say, yeah, because the airplane's going fast, isn't it? And I'm like, isn't the fucking planet spinning at 1,000 miles an hour? What's a fucking plane gonna do going at like 300 or 400? It's like, come on, man, you've left the signal.
Don't make no excuses, isn't it? I don't know.
You've left the fucking signal of the ground mast.
But I don't have no service. Otherwise, house. So how the fuck do they work that out? Do you know what I mean? Like, what?
Thing is, right, if I can get on a plane, say if I get on a plane in the Middle East and then I land in North Africa, as soon as I land, I've got signal.
Yeah.
Yeah? And then if I take off from North Africa and I land in Europe, I lose signal, and then I land and I've got signal. How the fuck is that coming from satellite? Surely,
just saying it's the ground.
If it was satellite, it is a ground mast.
Yeah.
It is a ground mast that gives you the fucking data and the signal. It's not coming from a satellite. So then when Ricky Gervais is saying, oh, I send a text message and it leaves my phone and it goes up to satellite and back down again, I'm sorry, Mr. Gervais, you're a fucking funny guy and you are articulate and clever, but you're fucking wrong about your text message. And
but do you think...
Don't be so fucking narrow-minded when it comes to religion. Not religion, but spirituality. There's difference.
But a question now is, do you think that like people like Joe Rogan, Ricky Gervais are a different faction, but still a shield?
I think with people like Ricky Gervais, I'm a big fan of this guy, and I've been following him for years and years.
I've been following him since the XFM days. I love him. I think it's great.
That was
brilliant.
Me too. Yeah, Cole Pilkington.
And my analysis of Ricky Gervais when it comes to this stuff is he has an extreme respect for the scientific community, and he would never believe that there could be corruption in this community. So it's what we've said before with like scientism. That is his religion, and I think that he has a way too big regard for these people, and a little bit naive to think that this community wouldn't be corrupt in any way, which
Ricky Gervais
makes him be very trusting of this community, which there is no reason to be, really.
Ricky Gervais to me is like that fucking mad Christian guy you get on a train or in the middle of the fucking town, and they're shouting about Jesus is your Lord and Savior. Like, Ricky Gervais is that guy to me, but his religion is science.
Yeah.
He cannot be interviewed without saying he's an atheist or science. His God is that fucking Cox guy. That's that fucking Brian Cox.
Yeah, Brian
He's
Cox.
Like, he's the modern day Carl Sagan. You know, that's his fucking God.
Rogan's the same, isn't he, with deGrasse Tyson?
Rogan is the same.
And
Rogan is the same.
That's why I think they're a different faction, but I think they're shields.
I don't think they are. I just think they're so committed. Like, so Joe Rogan, his biggest fucking thing is aliens. He wants there to be aliens. He said this from day one. He wants there to be aliens. He fucking would love there to be aliens. And if you introduce an idea to him where possibly there couldn't be aliens, if you was like when Eddie Bravo says to him, dude, the fucking earth is flat. We can't fucking leave this place. We're in a dome. Joe Rogan's immediate fucking response to that in his brain is like, but that means there can't be aliens. So he fights it. And it's the same with Ricky Gervais. I don't think they're shills. Well, Joe Rogan did fucking change his tune big time on the moon landing.
Drastically.
Big time. But Ricky Gervais has never done that kind of U-turn on anything he said. He's always stuck by it.
Yeah.
I don't think Ricky Gervais is a shill at all. I think his God, his religion is science. Joe Rogan, who had this big platform and a big voice, he's fucking good at talking. You've got to give him that. And he's very smart for a dumb guy.
And he's another one I like. He's another one I like, 100%. But I just disagree with most of the time.
But the U-turn he made on that fucking moon landing, and he was adamant.
Too obvious.
It's too obvious. I sent you guys the video, didn't I? Recently, where he's going on about telemetry data, Van Allen belts, and it's just, and then
forget stuff like that.
And then all of a sudden, he's got the biggest podcast in the world, and he.
For a reason.
If you look at some of the podcasts, especially with Duncan Trussell, which I think is fucking funny bastard as well. He's fucking funny.
He's a weirdo, though.
He's wearing NASA fucking clothes.
Yeah.
Duncan Trussell, he is a weirdo, but he's funny.
Yeah, but he's got the mask on. Last time I see, because clips still show up on my TV, and last time I see him, he had the mask on and all that. And so I think he believes in all of that. So I can't be dealing with him.
I haven't listened to it in ages, but with
Who
Joe
had the mask
Rogan...
on?
Duncan Trussell. He had like a big hat with all. I don't know if he's just fucking being kooky or what.
It could have been like satirical.
Yeah.
Maybe it was taking the piss out of that.
Possible, but he always comes on with NASA shit with Rogan and that.
But no, Joe Rogan fucking wears the NASA gear, and it's like
with Brian. What's his name? Who's created
10
the
years
channel
ago.
with him? Who's the guy who created Brian? What's his Brian?
Callum?
Who created? Nah. Oh, what's his name? Shit. The guy who actually created the Joe Rogan show with Joe Rogan is one of his best pals. And every time they get the NASA gear on, and he wears all the NASA gear as well. He's got like a little Oriental girlfriend.
I know who he's talking about.
He's the one who actually created it with Joe. I think he gets a big cut off what he's doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Yeah, sorry, off topic, but yeah.
No, that's going to bug me now because I know that he
had... Brian, his name's Brian. Brian something.
Red Band.
Red Band, that's it. Good man.
Oh, yeah.
Red Band.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's a freak as well.
They love the NASA suits and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but why would you go from fucking slagging off?
Aren't they doing it ironically, though?
Maybe.
I don't think they are. Honestly, because Neil deGrasse Tyson was on one of the shows, and Neil was going, you were one of the moon guys, weren't you? Like the moon hoax guys. And then Joe fucking goes on a full defensive and says, look, I was just a guy that saw some videos. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just a comedian. I saw a conspiracy video. I believed what I believed. But who am I to fucking question what went on, really? And it was like and it was almost as if Neil deGrasse Tyson was told to say that question so he could defend himself and say, I'm just a fucking guy, I'm a normal guy. And now he's wearing all the NASA stuff. So I think Joe Rogan was flipped. I honestly do. But I don't think Ricky Gervais has ever been.
Yeah, but we always say maybe for good reason. He may be a right diamond of a person, but they could hurt him or his family, and
I think they flipped him. Honestly, honestly, mate, I think Joe. If you listen to Joe Rogan, he's a fucking like down to earth, normal, funny guy. But the way he talks to fucking Eddie Bravo. But mate, I've heard him with Eddie Bravo, and I've just thought, Eddie, man. Just fucking choke him out or something. You know what I mean? Like Eddie and him have been friends. Like they were on like the Man Show or something, and Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo were offered like a contract in comedy writing before all the jiu-jitsu stuff, and the TV company said to Joe Rogan, look, you're funny, but we don't like Eddie. Like, he's just too, like, he's a fucking jar, you know, he's too out there. And Rogan was like, well, it's both of us or it's none of us. Like, he stood by him. And then they didn't take the show. Obviously, they wanted to do different things, but yeah, Rogan, I honestly think is just a fucking nice, normal, funny guy. I definitely think he was flipped.
Yeah,
I think he was. How'd you end up with the biggest fucking podcast on the world?
Yeah,
and now you're wearing
hundreds of millions of stuff.
And he's got but you're getting like fucking A-list celebrities on.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, and then
but it only tell Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, shield. You're a shield. As soon as you have them on, it's game over for me.
Yeah, but I know, like, also like Robert Downey Jr. and.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar, the fucking UFO guy. I used to, mate, I only got onto Joe Rogan when I was like looking into the flat earth stuff because Eddie Bravo was coming up as like a flat earth enthusiast, and he was on Joe Rogan, and I got into the Joe Rogan podcast back from like the early podcasts.
Yeah, I did. I
saw the change. I saw the change. With Ricky Gervais, there's no change. There's no change. From day one to now, he's a funny fucker. He believes what he believes in, but I don't think he's ever been flipped.
Yeah, but
his religion is science.
Slag everyone else off, though. That's all. Like, he does dig. He's like, you're all as thick as shit, and that's what I don't like.
He's got that kind of arrogance to him, where if you are religious, then you.
Well, I'm not religious, but like, don't tell me that I know less than you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you're a very clever man. You're a comedy and that. You are fantastic. I think you're fantastic. But It's the fact when he turns around and says, if you believe this, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, let's just take our tops off and have a scrap. Do you know what I mean? So, you know?
But when for a person to say something like that, that just comes from ignorance of this world. If you think that you can stand there and say this is the way it is, and if you go against that, then that's obviously not a very intelligent way to be. I think that he is very intelligent.
He is,
in a lot of ways, but he has been indoctrinated since he was a child to respect these to respect science and people in that realm over everything else. And I think it's hard for someone because he's like 60 now. I think that it's hard for someone who is that age to go back on their whole worldview and recalibrate and maybe think that it's not exactly the way I thought it was. It's like with boomers, they are very it's hard for them to take in new information and like rethink stuff and just like be a bit more humble about it and think like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Because, I don't know. It's something about that generation where they are very, what is it?
It's like they'd rather be fooled
pride.
than know that. Yeah, they've got they'd rather be fooled than admit that they've been fooled.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of pride, and to go back on that would be, I don't know. Goes back to the ego thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope I'm never like I love hearing new stuff. Even if someone tells me something new, and not even in my brain I go, nah, fucking hell. I still want to hear it. I'm like, well, tell me about it because it fascinates me.
Yeah.
Like someone could like tell me something and I'm like, fucking hell, that sounds fascinating. I don't believe it, but
even if it's completely crazy.
I'll tell you what, I'll think about it. I'll give it some thought.
And that's what it was like. When you guys
I'd hate to be narrow-minded.
Yeah, me too. Like when you guys first heard of like the flat Earth theory, for example. At first, you was like, that sounds retarded, and then you look into it because you're interested and open-minded, and then you take it in and you know, now you think differently.
Yeah.
So it's for me. It was. I was chatting to my brother about a channel I had on Facebook about like truth videos. And I even said, look, I can't take any credit for these videos. They're just videos that someone's made. It could be 9/11. It could be something to do with fracking, you know, seismic blasting in the oceans. And he said, oh, you'd really like my mate. And I forget his name, but he said, let's call him up. And we phoned him up, like we'd had a drink. And then this dude was talking about flat Earth. And I said, what the fuck? Like I said to my brother, like, who the fuck have you phoned up? Is he talking about flat Earth? And this guy, like, I was mocking him. I was openly mocking him. Like he said, he one of his questions, he said, how do you know where you live? And I said, well, because I've got the keys to my fucking house. That's how I know where I live. Like, I was just like proper taking a piss. And like, he's saying, no, but like, how do you know, like, you live on a ball? And I was like, because I fucking just do, man. It's like I've seen photos of it. And he's like, yeah, but who took the photos? And I said to my brother, like, this is too much. This guy's a fucking idiot. And obviously, because I'd had a drink, and then I don't know what happened, like the next day or the day after, I was really thinking about it. I was like, I said, this guy sounds like me, but too much. He's too much gone. And I was like, I'm going to help him. I'm going to prove him wrong so that we can just have a normal conversation. So we become friends on Facebook, and I sent him a message. And what I did, I went on to Google and I looked at the globe, but flat. Do you know, like how you see it, like when they show the weather and that? And I said, and then I saw that America and Russia are actually really close. Like the coast to coast is really close, right?
Yeah, they're almost touching.
They are, but when you look at it on a globe, it's like other sides. But if you look at it, so I in my mind thought, right, America and Russia are really, really close. Let me see if anyone has ever crossed that bit of water, that sea or whatever, the strait between the two countries. So I Googled it, and there had been. Someone had crossed it on a fucking surfboard, like broke a world record or something. So I sent this dude a message, and I said, if the world is flat, how the fuck can someone go from America to Russia on a fucking surfboard? And that was my win. That was like, got ya. And he replied to say, you're looking at the map wrong. He said, imagine it's a circle. The North Pole is in the middle. The continents are around, and the South Pole. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy going on about? Like, are you for real? Like, you're fucking insane. And I looked at it and I was like, actually, you could cross from there to there quite easily, but everything else doesn't make sense. And then he sent me a video, and it all just slowly started to make sense. When you see videos of the sun, and they say the sun traverses, we're not orbiting the sun, but the sun traverses our plane. And when you look at videos of the early morning sun, and it's small and it's cool, it's cold in the morning, right? And as the sun gets, it actually, you can see it get bigger and bigger. Now it's really hot. It's hot. The fucking sun's there. It's hot. And then the sun goes away and it gets smaller and smaller. And it's cool again.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, actually, if you was on a planet and the sun is 93 million miles away, that's far. So if it's hot, surely as soon as the planet turns and it's sunshine, it should just be hot. Like, there shouldn't be any difference in temperature, surely. Why would there be? Because there's 93 million miles distance. And then it should just be the same heat and the same brightness all day until the planet turns, and then it's dark, and then it should be fucking cold. And I thought that makes sense. And then I questioned someone. They said, "Oh, but you don't understand thermodynamics." And I was like, "Oh, well, maybe I don't."
Because they baffle you with science. Idiot, but that's exactly it. They baffle you with science. They make you feel
you don't. Exactly. You don't understand thermodynamics. I'm like, well, but surely if it's 93 million miles away, if just a fraction of a degree of a rotation of a planet, that shouldn't have much of a difference in temperature, surely. Yeah, but it's the atmosphere. Oh, okay. So it's the atmosphere. And it's refraction. Oh, okay. Yeah. Then I'm an idiot. I don't understand it. But, you know, it fucking makes sense when you put it into layman's terms on a different model. It does make sense. Season, that's another thing. Oh, how do you explain seasons? Quite easily.
Yeah. But it goes back to easily. It goes back to the what's it called? I remember my mate in his bedroom had an atlas on his wall, and like you saying, they compress it, don't they? They sort of compress it. So like, there's the two, like, you know, there's all like the continents and that, and it's completely different to it wrapped around the globe. And I remember sitting there going, I went to him, that don't look right, and that don't look right, and that, and he went, yeah, no, that's the world, and that. I went, nah, don't look right to me, and I don't know why. And it's only a couple of years ago when you got me into it that I actually went that way. But even then, I was going, that don't look right. And why was I saying that? So I just felt that there was something that was off.
I think it's funny the way that they always put America in the middle as well. Whenever you see
a
weather map or the world map, it's like America and Europe is the center. Africa's down the bottom. South America,
and they reckon
got Russia
massively much bigger as well, don't they?
Apparently, I mean, I'm not a cartographer. I've never been up high enough to fucking map the world. You only know what you're told. For all I know, the shape of the land mass, who fucking knows what it looks like? I don't fucking know. You watch the weather and you see Britain and you see America, and what gets me, what confuses me about America is Alaska is attached to like Canada. So if you look at North America, Alaska's part of America, but you got to go through Canada to get to it.
Yeah.
It's like you actually have to, you need to leave your country to get to another part of your country. That doesn't fucking make sense to me.
No.
I know it's just like, that's our land, but
it's
like
Hawaii. California. California's the same though, isn't it? California, in old maps, California was separated. It was just like a land bridge. But now it's actually all connected and that.
It's mental. What if Canada said to America, you can't come through our country anymore, we're closing the borders? How the fuck would they they'd have to fly or sail to another part of their fucking country.
Yeah.
It's mental. And it's
that's
like
always,
Hawaii
that's
as
always,
well.
But that's a funny one though, like Canada and North America. You just go to yourself, like, why is that apart? Like, it's a bit like Scotland and England, isn't it? It's all part of the same, same land.
It's even more. It doesn't make sense to me more for Britain, because when you see North America and Canada, like Canada is the second biggest country in the world, and it's attached to North America, but then North America through Mexico attaches to South America. There's no sea. The land thins, but it's all the fucking same land, and it's like, if that's all different countries, if you look at the tiny little island of Britain, and you've got Wales, England, Scotland, in that one island, then you've got the other island, but then you've got the other little island, which is Ireland, which is the Republic of Ireland, the Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, how fucked up is that?
I don't know.
And then, like, so when you see a landmass as big as America, I could even see North America being 20 different fucking countries. If you see our one little island, you've got Wales, England, and Scotland. And the accent, the accents as well change so much. If you took like Cornwall, if you go down to Cornwall, up to London, from London to Birmingham, from Birmingham to Manchester, I'm in Manchester, and then I'm a fucking Scouser. Like the fucking accents you get in that little island is mental. It's mental. That tiny little island.
How does that happen?
I don't know. What's it like in Sweden, though? Do you have different accents like in England? You got a London, Cockney, Scouser, Manchester. Do you get all different accents where you are?
Geordie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's very like the concentrated people. I mean, like we have more people in the south of Sweden, so we have Gothenburg, where they speak a very like it's a happy accent. They go up at the end of it like yeah, exactly like that. Actually, that's what the way they sound. And then we've got
Joe's been there.
Yeah,
that was quite.
Have you actually? Are you from Gothenburg? And we've got Malmö, which used to be a part of Denmark, so they speak in a very distinct accent. But then Sweden took that part of the land and said, "No, you have to speak Swedish, you fucking bastards." So they started to speak Swedish with a very Danish accent. And then we've got, as we go further north, we've got Stockholm, and they've got a very they've got a silly accent, and then we go north, and then it becomes more like the northern accent, and then the further north you go, and actually, if you're in a city in the north of Sweden, and then people speak pretty normally, but then if you go like 1 mile out of that city, they speak in a more like country accent.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, look, but Norway's only a stone's throw, so do they sound completely different to you?
Yeah, they do. They sound like huge pussies compared to us.
Yeah.
Switch on your chick, that's on bitch code. Catch a trick, fry 'em up in that Crisco. Fuck the grid, I'ma dip to a flip phone. On the splits, every lick is a shitload. Throw a fit, throw a kiss, I'm in bitch mode. Got some ice on my nips, on my tits cold. Calling all the pretty girls in your zip code. I need all those skinny bitches and my big hoes. Boy, I'm a line. Bad bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate the world, peak is ripe. Check my baby G-Shock, said it's time. All my thoughts linked up, multiplying, no divide. Dropping hit after hit, never miss, it's a crime. But my karma stay lit, Buddha sit by my side. Put the work in, practicing and learning. Only truth when I spit, write a fucking sermon. Even shoot all my flicks, cut it like a surgeon. Study been rehearsing, pulling back the curtain. I'ma put on the show, I'ma wild out some more. Why'd you wanna sense of me? I'ma still be a all my ladies know they can't take the shine, they can't take the glow. Tell these boys that it's mine, pussy sitting on the throne. Never switch on your chick, that's on bitch code. Catch a trick, fry 'em up in that Crisco. Fuck the grid, I'ma dip to a flip phone. On the splits, every lick is a shitload. Throw a bit, throw a kiss, I'm in bitch mode. Got some ice on my nips, on my tits cold. Calling all the pretty girls in your zip